Hey everybody. Well, I figured since our fundraiser stalled again, I needed to try to make a personal appeal, face to face, voice to voice, in person, sort of, by video. And I thought, well, maybe I'll share that video where I sang an adaptation of Let It Be really, really badly because I'm a horrible singer and promised to stop singing if you kick in $5. And I thought, nah, once was embarrassing enough and hopefully no one will look at it again. Instead, I just want to say, what we're trying to do with this organization and this movement is invite people to share the ideal of doing the best we can as a society, as people. And that is something different from politics as we know it, politics as we normally engage in it. Because politics as we know it, as we normally engage in it, while vital and important and necessary, is not introspective. It projects outward. And so all of our psychological foibles and our dysfunctional defaults as individuals, as human beings, whose evolutionary psychology was largely produced on the African savannah and not well adapted to the modern world in many ways, all of that is imported into our normal politics. All of that is woven into the fabric of our normal politics across the spectrum. There is a difference, certainly, between the competing factions, and there are differences in the value of the positions and in the virtue, the logical and moral and empirical validity of competing positions. No doubt about it. There's no false equivalency here. But there is a true similarity. And the true similarity is that we're all laden with false certainties. We're all laden with a tendency toward ideological tribalism. And as much as we want to convince ourselves that that's noble and good and virtuous, it really isn't. And as much as we want to convince ourselves that it gets the job done and it really works, it really doesn't. The most successful social movements in history, sure, have had elements of that in them, but they've been successful by mitigating those elements somewhat, by disciplining people to be more tolerant of those who disagree with them, to be more restrained in how they advocate for their position, to use civil disobedience rather than uncivil disobedience, to create a welcoming and inviting alternative to which people can say, wow, it's hard to deny the validity of that, because it's easy to deny the validity of people who are angry. It's easy to deny the validity of people who are indulging in righteous indignation. It's hard to deny the validity of people who are really trying hard in a disciplined way to be reasonable, to be tolerant, to be empathetic, and to be restrained. So transcendental politics is all about working out the details of how best to do that and inviting people to join in that movement. It's really the movement of doing the best we can do, defined as trying to figure out what the best we can do is, using the techniques, the methodologies, the tools available for developing a better understanding and insight, using empirical information, using professional practices, using academic research, using knowledge that exists and the entire corpus of human historical experience to form the foundation of a movement that is, let's do this right. Let's work at being the kind of people who can create a more rational, more imaginative, more empathetic, more humble, and more humane world. Not just issue by issue, not just in isolated ways, but as an overarching social movement that includes all of those issues, that includes all of those component movements, that includes multitudes of community organizations and multitudes of efforts by multitudes of people, but creates a coherence, an overarching coherent paradigm that we all can identify with and refer to and draw on and evolve with as we continue this ongoing millennial effort of creating a wiser, more humane world together. Because isn't that what reasonable people of goodwill are doing? Trying to create a wiser, more humane world together? And doesn't that require a certain amount of discipline, a certain amount of organizational effort, a certain amount of willingness to work together with others who share that vision of what being a human being really is all about. So we're just trying to pull together a total of $1,000 by early May. We have 680 right now. We're stalled. We'd like to make it the rest of the way. Originally I was identified 1,500, but then dialed it back. It will be enough for us to attend a few fairs and festivals. And there's some that I have my eyes on in the Denver area. We have literature made. I've spent a lot of time composing and creating and folding our pocket parables and our synopsis of Transcendental Politics. I've spent some time on these videos. I've spent time working on the handbook and on the larger treatise. The handbook is nearly completed. The larger treatise is about half completed. There's a lot going on, and we're drawing on a lot of valuable information and valuable professional practice to create a viable paradigm that people can identify with and work through and rally around and rally to. That is simply, what would rational, compassionate people do if they organized to create a more rational and compassionate world? What steps would we take? What would be the framework? What would be the paradigm? And working methodically, diligently, with effort to continue to work out what that paradigm is. And it's really surprising as when you make that effort, when you dig down into it, when you draw on the corpus of research and knowledge that we have available to us, it's pretty amazing how sophisticated, how workable, how real and implementable that paradigm is. So please join us, help us out, kick in $5 so that we can take this zygote of an idea, this zygote of an organization, and turn it into a vibrant force in the world. And who knows, this organization, this movement, or something like it, someday can germinate and grow and blossom and bear fruit in surprising ways. I don't know if it's going to be transcendental politics or not, but the effort, the experimentation, the ongoing attempt to create movements like this that are bigger than individual issue movements, that are bigger than individual political movements, but that combine introspection with a desire to create a better world, that combine policing ourselves with helping others to become more reasonable, more compassionate, kinder, more humble, and more humane people. Because if we work as a society, as a local community, as a national society, as a global society, if we work toward that goal of striving in earnest to be more reasonable, more imaginative, more empathetic, and more humble, and we make a movement out of that that isn't burdened with a lot of excess baggage, but is simply that and nothing but that, that's powerful. That's potentially paradigm shifting, revolutionary. And someday, I have to believe, someday in the future, that paradigm will prevail. That paradigm will become an overarching paradigm to which human beings rally in multitudes, and which has a significant impact on humanity. So join us, help us out, kick in a few bucks, become a part of this, help to disseminate our literature, our word, help to guide people to our YouTube channel, help to guide people to our Facebook group page, and let's imagine big, let's aspire big, and let's organize and work in service to that big imagination and that big aspiration. Because the world we've created is not something anyone could have envisioned centuries ago. And the world we're going to create now, the future that we're creating as we sit here and talk at this very moment, is not something anyone's imagining at this point. But we can imagine it, and we can realize what we're imagining if we do it right, if we do it wisely, with discipline, methodically, and practically. And that's what we're trying to do. That's really what we're trying to accomplish, a practical movement to achieve the highest of ideals. So I'll include the link with this video and implore you to help us out with a few dollars. Thanks a lot. I look forward to talking with you again soon.